Okay, first thing we're asked to do on our homework is to find the indicated nth roots of A. Then they give us an n and they give us an a. So in the first example here, we're looking for the third root of negative 216. Here's how you write a third root. It's going to look a lot like a square root, but it's going to have a little 3 tucked inside the check mark symbol, right? You want to try to make that 3 real little, tiny. And then the negative 216 goes in here. Now we're used to seeing that negative and thinking it's going to be imaginary. But we don't have a square root here. A square root of a negative is how you end up with I. This is a third root, so we can leave I out of the picture, okay? A third root can be negative inside. You're looking for the number that multiplies by itself 3 times to get a negative 216. Because a negative times a negative times a negative is a negative, we're looking for a negative answer. So what number times itself 3 times equals negative 216? It's negative 6. And I can prove that to you, or you can take out a calculator and prove it, that negative 6 times negative 6 times negative 6 equals negative 216. If you have a hard time coming up with that number in your head, take out a calculator and play around with a few things until you find the number that works. All right. In letter B here, we're looking for the fourth root of 81. Now, a fourth root is like a square root in that you're going to have a plus minus in front of it. Because it's even, you're looking for 2 answers, a positive and a negative answer. So we're looking for the plus minus fourth root, with that little 4 in the box, and then 81. So now we're looking for the number that multiplies by itself 4 times to make positive 81. Again, take out a calculator if you need to, play around with it till you find the number that works. In this case, it's going to be plus or minus 3. I can prove that by showing that 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, they're all positive, is going to be a positive 81. But so is a negative times a negative times a negative times a negative 3. All those negatives actually end up becoming positive 81. So this has 2 answers, plus minus 3. The second half of your homework asks you to solve equations that have x to the third power or fourth power or fifth power. So to get rid of those powers, we're going to do third roots and fourth roots and fifth roots. All right, but first you want to get rid of anything else that's on that side. So this 4 that's in front of our x to the fifth, we're going to have to divide both sides by it to get rid of it. So now we'll have x to the fifth equals whatever 128 divided by 4 is, which is 32. And then to get rid of that 5 as our exponent, we're going to take the fifth root of both sides. Now the fifth root does not need a plus minus in front of it because the fifth root is odd. So we're going to just take the fifth root. Don't forget to put the little 5 in there so it doesn't look like a square root. And we're going to take the fifth root of this side as well. Now the x to the fifth and the fifth root will cancel out, and you'll be left with just x equals. Now we're looking for the number that multiplies by itself 5 times to get 32. And the answer to that is 2. Only positive 2. Right? A negative 2, if you multiply it by itself 5 times, will get negative 32, but that's not what this question has. So we're only looking for this one answer here. To this equation, it's only slightly more complicated because they have that x minus 3 in parentheses like that. That means you can't get in here and do anything to that 3 until you've dealt with the exponent. You have to get rid of that fourth power first, and then the parentheses will go away, and you can deal with that 3. So now we want to actually do our root first. So the root that we're taking here is a fourth root. And so we need to remember to put the plus minus in front of it. Fourth root is even, so you put a plus minus in front. So we are taking the plus minus fourth root of both sides. Plus minus fourth root. All right? The fourth root and the fourth power will cancel out. And now you can drop the parentheses. All you have over here is an x minus 3. Equals, we know from our previous slide that the plus or minus fourth root of 81 is plus or minus 3. At this point, we really need to break it into 2 equations, all right? Because now we're going to add 3 to the other side, but the other side has 2 completely different numbers on it. So one equation that we have is x minus 3 equals positive 3, and the other equation that we have is x minus 3 equals negative 3. When we add 3 to both sides then, we're going to get 2 completely different answers. One, x equals 6, and the other, if you add 3 to a negative 3, is that x equals 0. All right, so in some cases, you're going to get 2 completely different answers. So when you have a plus minus and more work to do, you should actually break it up and write 2 equations so that you can get your 2 different answers. Okay, and that's all you're asked to do on your homework.